Okay, I'm going to be using a 13 by 4 frontal wig on her, and I'm using her because it's obviously going to be big on her head. And yes, so here is the wig, and it's a frontal wig. And yes, you'll see that it's big on her head. It actually just fell back, and once you trying to adjust it, you can just tell that it's actually very big. And once I try to take my hands off, it just falls off. If you look at the sides, you can see upward how big it is. And yes, that is the excess in it. So we are going to be editing this. We are going to be working on this wig for her, although it's not her wig, but just to show you how to work on it, that it would be your size. All right, so now we are going to be taking her measurement. We'll take her front over her forehead measurement. Okay, so from ear to ear we'll take that measurement, and for her, measuring her, it's actually measured 10 inches. Okay, so I'm just showing you again from that part, the front, just above the ear, because that is where the wig is going to lay. Okay, so we are going to be taking it from one particular part of her ear over her forehead, that's over the top where the wig will naturally lay. Okay, just follow your hairline to the other part of the ear, and then we measured her, has measured 10 inch. So we're going to move in my model. I'm going to be moving her. Yes, don't mind her, she wants to keep looking at the camera. All right, we're going to measure her neck from the back of the ear to the other part. Okay, so right from there where I'm showing you to the other part of the ear. Notice that I'm not going to put my tape measure her above the wig cap. Okay, so it's just from the back of her ear to the other part, and this is going to be skin to skin. Do not place it on the wig cap. This right now is a mistake. It shouldn't be so. You should place it actually underneath the wig cap, because that wig cap will add some space to it, and that's what you do not want. Okay, if you measure with the wig cap and without the wig cap, you realize that it's shorter. So we actually measured 6.5. Okay, so now what we are going to do now, I'm showing you the frontal over the head. That's where we are going to use our very first measurement. So we remember we measured 10 inch. Now we are folding the frontal into two, folding it in half. Our very first measurement, which was 10 inch, we are going to add 1 more inch to it to make it 11 inches. That 1 inch allowance is actually like ease, because you don't want it to be too tight on your forehead. Now, because we are folding the frontal in half, we are also going to divide the total of that frontal head measurement into two. So that's 11 inch. Now that's, so the 11 inch divided by 2, that is 5.5. So now as we fold our frontal into two, we are going to measure it, ensure that both edge meets, and from the upper part, which is the midpoint, downwards, we are going to measure 5.5 inches on both sides, and we are going to mark it on both sides of our frontal. So I'm measuring it right now, and taking it downwards, we are going to get 5.5 inch. Remember that 5.5 is the forehead measurement, which is 10 plus 1 inch is, which is 11. Now 11 divided by 2, that is 5.5 inches. So that is what we measure here. Now you're going to mark that part on both frontal ends. Okay, So if you have a chalk or pencil, a fabric chalk or pencil or something you can use to do that mark, go ahead and use it. Remember that you are marking on that part that doesn't have any hair, so afterwards it's going to be cut off. Now I didn't have any of them at my disposal right here, so I was careful enough to use pins. So but please, I do not advise pins for you because you may rip your frontal and that will be like a damage you get. So in order to avoid that, just use pencil or anything else, fabric chalk. So I'm going to be using the pin, and I have placed my finger on both sides. I'm going to pin the first frontal end, and I'm also going to pin the second frontal end, as you can see in the video. So I've pinned the first one right now. I'm going to separate that one and also pin the second one underneath it. So we have, pardon me, oh, that was a sound like, wow, that was so loud. It just took me unawares. Okay, so as you can see in the video, you can see the two pins on both sides, and yes, that is done. And I actually pinned the part of the frontal that will actually be cut off now, and I carefully put it, passing through the holes carefully. Now the next thing you want to do is this very second measurement at the back of the neck. We know we measured 6.5. Now we are going to take our elastic. That 6.5 measurement, we are going to minus 1 inch. You can do half inch, but at most 1 inch. That will give us 5.5. The idea is that an elastic needs to be stretched out to give that firm fitting. So I minus 1 inch and to give us 5.5 inch. Okay, and I've measured it on the elastic, and I'm going to cut off the excess. Now the deal is you want the elastic to pull everything to fit your head size, and I'm not taking more than 1 inch because I don't want it to be too tight on my head. Okay, I don't want it to be too tight on her head, so I just removed 1 inch. You could do half inch, but for extra fitness, you want it firm on your head, you just use 1 inch. Now for the, so now we have our elastic ready, and we have marked the frontal. So yes, we are done. One other thing to take note of is at the end of this whole process, you actually don't want it to be too firm on your head. The reason why it shouldn't be too firm is so that you can wear it easily. It wouldn't be a struggle to put it on. And also for people who not like to wear caps on their head, if they wear caps they could have headaches. No, so if it is too firm on your head, you could have that kind of a reaction. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the sewing. Now you see the mark where we have made with the pin. We are going to place one end of the elastic like so. Please take note of how I'm placing it. The elastic, the other parts of the elastic is falling downwards, so I'm just going to place one part of it, and I'm not going to place it at the part of the frontal that has no hair, because those are the outer parts. You are going to place it inside the part that has got hairs attached to it. So as you can see, the elastic is inside because that is where the hair is, and I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to sew it. Unfortunately, I mistakenly cut off that video where I was sewing it, but I hope I'll be able to show you in this other side. So yes, my pin for the other part fell off, and I'm just going to measure the 5.5 inch again from the middle point, and I'm going to mark it there. So I've pinned it back, and yes, I'm knotting the end of my thread, and I'm going to pick up the other elastic. One part of it has been sewn, and I'm going to show you how to do it on the other part. Now as you can see, I have I've done one part of it. It's just basic stitching. Now see where I'm lifting the other end and I'm taking it to the other side of the frontal. I'll also align it with the needle, ensure that the line, it is falling on the same line, okay? And I'm not putting it at the edge of the frontal because there are no hairs there and that part will be cut off. So I'm putting it in the inner part of the frontal that has got the hairs, so that even when you cut off the part of the frontal that has got no hair, it will not um it wouldn't affect where you placed the frontal. Okay, so now here it is. I'm going to be sewing it again. I'm going to be sewing this part, and what you basically do is, yes, you have not one end of the thread. You are going to pierce the needle through the elastic and through the frontal. Ensure that it is just picking the frontal directly, and then you are pulling out. That is all that is needed. When you pull out, you go in again through the elastic, through the frontal, and out again. Just normal thing. You pierce it in and then out. That is it. So if you don't have a curved needle, no problem, just any needle will do. Okay, and that is basically how to sew it. And you just keep doing that. And you would be done in no time. Yes, so as you can see, I'm going in through it. Has pierced the frontal and out. That is it. So it's more or less like a circular motion. You're just going in and come out, in and out, in and out. And well, that's basically it. When you're done, you knot the end. So in order to knot the end, when you go in and pierce everything, you're going to take one end of the thread and roll it over the needle. You roll it over the needle twice and pull it out, and you're done. Okay, so sorry, um please pardon me. I hope the video would capture me knotting it. So I believe I'm done right now. So I'm just rolling it like that, and then I pull out my thread. Yeah, so it's just basic tacking. There is nothing special about it. So I'm taking off that pin. Yes, and then I cut off my excess thread, and we are done. Actually, this is basically it. Now this is usually fine when people put the elastic on both sides. This is usually okay. But to have, I've turned it inside out, and to have if you have weak clips, you can place one here. This is just the middle point of your frontal. Okay, the middle point of your frontal, the part where it joins the lace. So you're going to sew it on the lace itself. So you just tuck that in, you have it there. And then if you have more clips, you can put one underneath. But this part is not really necessary because, well, the elastic will hold that part. But then you can put one there, then you can put another by the left side and by the right side of your wig cap, and that is basically it. So we are trying it on our model right now. It's not easy when you have kids who won't put their head one place. Okay, so I'm wearing it for her, and that is it. It's not tight, but you can see that it is firm. You wear it properly, and then that is basically it. You are done. And then that wig that was falling off would not fall off anymore. And here is the part. Look at me pulling on the hair. It's not pulling off. It's firm on her head. That is it. basically it. And all you do now is to trim the excess frontal away from the ear. You're just going to follow the pattern of your ear.
Mommy,
You're just going to follow your ear, normal way of customizing a frontal, and that is all. And if you look at the back, you see I'm holding on the elastic. If you look at it, you see there is room for more, so it's not firm on her. There is room for more, and it's not tight on her. It's just perfect on her head. So that's what you want. You don't want it to be too firm on you such that you cannot pull on the elastic, because when it's too tight, then it may even rip off your frontal. All right, we've come to the end. Thank you. I hope you understand it.